Hey everyone, welcome back to the YMyHealth podcast. It's your co-host, both of your co-hosts actually. Here today, your co-host Melissa Shankman.
And I'm Julie Woon.
It's great to be back together, Julie, on the podcast as we wrap up 2025 on this episode. We're going to be talking about some great milestones that YMyHealth has reached this year, highlights, topics that we're finding that are trending, both from our Why My Health contributors and fellow millennials around the country and the world, actually, branching out more internationally as well. But what people are finding to be the trending topics and what people are dealing with in their health and looking for in health communication. And then we're going to preview kind of what the podcast is looking like for next year, what Why My Health as a whole, some new topics and new contributors we'll be bringing in, and different plans as we go through the year. But yeah, we thought it was important to get back together and share with you, uh, you know, some really important highlights and milestones from the year as we move forward.
Yeah, it's been a great year for YMyHealth. So I think it's nice to just take a step back, especially as we come into the end, and just appreciate how far we've come. Thank you as listeners for all that you've done for us and for following along. And then, yeah, just give you updates like Melissa said.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I want to thank everyone. It has been quite a year. I mean, we're coming up in another month on another big anniversary for us, which is 1 year of having the podcast.
Yeah.
And when we started, like anyone who started a podcast from scratch, we did not have a single episode, and we had never done any podcasting. So we have certainly learned a lot in the past year, and thanks to all of you for your support in that. But yeah, but one of our first really milestones to start out with that is how we started. We quickly were really surprised by the level of interest, the unbelievable enthusiasm for everyone. Like, we did not expect that, and we're so grateful to you for that because making a podcast is not easy. It takes time to obviously find your guests, plan your interviews if you're doing it properly, and as everyone knows, we put a lot of time and effort into preparation at YMyHealth to get you the highest quality information across the board. And so, just to know how much it has meant to people, both to our contributors and to our listeners as well, it has been amazing. And yeah, Julie, I mean, how many episodes, right? Are we
Yeah.
at? It's hard to
I
believe.
think this episode will mark 86,
That's
I
right.
believe. So, we're coming up also probably early next year on the big 100.
Yeah.
But to have 86 episodes go live in our first year, I think is more than we even dreamed we would be
Uh,
able to do. Um, and I think it's been one of those things that, like Melissa said, we're kind of building the plane as we're flying it. We're figuring it out. But it's been really, really great, and we're happy to have been able to brought so many stories to the podcast in our first year.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, I still sometimes can't believe when we're going to release an episode each week, and I look at the numbers of what number we're on. But yeah, number 86, it's hard to believe. And in that process too, we've added some really great contributors that we're going to talk about to the podcast, to the Why My Health community. And amazingly, when we started out, one of the dreams was to have voices from fellow millennials from every state in the United States. And we're really excited to share with everyone that this year we have reached our 29th state. Yeah, which is super cool. And we've also branched out internationally as well, which actually, Julie, you had that guest and that opportunity.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's interesting because we do see a lot of podcast listeners and people from across the globe that come to the website as well. But most of the time, what we've done is focus on contributors and experts here in the US. And now we're starting to kind of expand our global outreach there. Um, and health looks different in different locations. So I think that's exciting for us too, that, it may be that uh, we just hopped over to Canada.
Yeah.
um, but speaking with Jay from Gathering of the Wolves or Man Up to Cancer, it was just, an exciting experience to be able to see how far we've come and how, like, distance wise we're starting to reach. And he had a really great story, very inspiring. And I think, we focus a lot on women's health here. We'll talk a little bit about some
Yeah.
women's health topics that we've discussed this year in a bit. But to also see uh, the men's health side of it and a lot of the like emotional intelligence piece and the community there in his story was really, really nice.
No, it was absolutely wonderful. And we do, to your point, we do see listeners and website visitors. We do recognize where you're coming from in different countries. A lot of people, just to give people an idea, from the United Kingdom regularly, from Australia. We've seen more and more this year from Italy, from Spain, and also in different countries in South America
Yeah.
as well. And so we really appreciate you, and that's why we really are in the process of trying to branch out more, because we know you're listening. We know you're looking for this information as well. In our generation, we really appreciate that. And another exciting thing we got to do was do Why My Health podcast episodes in person, which was really cool. In March, both Julie and I went to Fight CRC's Call on Congress. Fight CRC has been one of our partners, very valuable partner for the past, I think, what are we going on? 2 years, almost 3 years, I feel like, at
Hmm.
this point. And so we had the opportunity to go. This is an event that is held annually to do advocacy in Washington, D.C., trying to get members of Congress more aware of colorectal cancer and its risk to people under the age of 50, and to, get more research dollars where they need to go and for screenings. And so we had the opportunity to do six, I believe,
Hmm.
podcast episodes in person, which was a really cool experience, and get to talk with survivors and advocates and caregivers, and also, of course,
Yeah.
do our annual filming on the National Mall, which was a lot of fun, always is. But yeah, so that was also a big milestone for us this year.
Yeah. And I think, you know, early onset colorectal cancer is absolutely one of the trending topics we've seen in the news. Uh, Just in general, early onset cancer of a variety of types has been, um, sadly, a trending topic,
Yeah,
especially for our age group. And so being able to talk to the survivors, like you mentioned, we've also done a lot of conversations about, the political climate and health, speaking with people on Capitol Hill is definitely a part of that. You've also done a number of research episodes talking about the research, but also, legally what's going on and where we're at. So I think that's absolutely something that we'll continue to be discussing and talking about. We would love to hear questions or areas of interest from you all as well related to that, and what are areas that you want to hear more about, because I think this is becoming um, an increasingly interesting topic, but also one that still should be garnering more awareness.
absolutely. No, absolutely. That's what I've been hearing so much too. People are looking for, kind of, to find out on the prevention side, what are other people doing for these early onset cancers. Then, if they were to be diagnosed with it, who else their age has been living with this, and what does life look like
Yeah,
during that and after. Um, and I think that's something. What one thing we're hearing more and more is people want more episodes, more articles on survivorship,
yeah,
because for the first time ever, and some of you as you're listening may not uh, have been, close to somebody at this point who, understandably so, who has gone through an early onset cancer experience. You're hearing it more in the news at this point. But what we both can say really is that there are more people, when you think about it, there are more people in our generation now who are becoming cancer survivors, which is wonderful that they are surviving cancer, but that presents its own challenge to become a cancer survivor in your 30s, in
yeah,
your 20s, in your 40s. Whereas a lot of people, they aren't diagnosed with cancer, at least in the past for other generations, until they're in their 50s a lot of the time, or in their 60s. And so they're at a very different place where they're living as a survivor in different decades of their life than we are living as
yeah,
survivors. We're going to live as survivors, uh, hopefully, if all goes well, until those 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, until our 100, but we're having to start that much earlier. And that presents really unique challenges because people are building their careers, they're dating, getting married, having families. Um, and those things are not happening in the background for people who get cancer at 50, 60, 70. It's a
Right.
lot different. And so we have found in talking to people, like, people wanna hear more from survivors and how they are living in their survivorship. So that's definitely, a trending topic. Are there others that you've been hearing about from that really stood out, Julie, to you from some of our contributors?
I mean, I think the other piece that we can talk about sort
Yeah.
of related to this is the rights and advocacy piece.
Yes.
Um, we've done a few different episodes now, the FMLA
Yeah.
episode, and then more recently, the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act. Yeah, I think you
Yeah.
actually recorded both of those.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Did.
and I think it shows, like, that interest in, like, what are our rights? What are people doing? Where is this focus within, our government and our health systems?
Absolutely, absolutely. And also the other things with that are, far as trending topics are caregivers,
Yeah.
caregiving, young caregivers. People want to know, also, and the FMLA ties into that interestingly enough, because if you're caring for a family member and you need to take time off work and you need to protect your job, that's part of that too. But
Mhm.
people are really looking for information and finding, to find fellow younger caregivers who are in this position while, again, doing all those things I just mentioned, in
Yeah.
life. I think that's definitely a big one. I think people are looking for how can they get involved, in terms of advocacy and how to
Mhm.
advocate for themselves. That's a huge, uh, problem in our generation. I think it
Yeah.
keeps getting better, but so many of us keep facing it in different ways, and so it's really great to keep hearing and having those voices say, "Hey, here's how I go out and advocate for myself in a difficult situation for my own healthcare."
Yeah.
And so that's something I think people are really interested in too. And
Yeah.
also those that I think, and I hope we'll for sure explore more of this next year, invisible illness, which we started back in June. There are so many people in our generation living with a variety of invisible illnesses, and
Mhm.
being that they're invisible, you have no idea. And
Right.
so uh, that that gets its own set of challenges in the workplace, socially, as well, and even with family. And so I think
Mhm.
definitely that's a trending topic we're hearing from people. And also back to your rights point, so much has changed with the political climate, and as a result, that's very, which it shouldn't be because the two should not be connected, but we won't go there. Um, health and science are health and science, but because of that, it's
Yeah.
really changed the face of health, what you can do with health information, and also really our role at YMyHealth as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think it's interesting 'cause beyond, colorectal cancer,
Yeah.
autoimmune POTS is really one of our
Yes.
focuses, and, like, that's where across our episodes related to that topic, we hear it time and time again of how much people have had to advocate for
Oh,
themselves,
yeah.
how many doctors they have to go to, how much they have to push. Um, we did 2 episodes with Dr. Reddy about
Yeah.
POTS and MCAS, and dysautonomia, and she was a patient first,
Yeah.
physician second, and so many people that we talked to, whether it was in, autoimmune or invisible illness,
Yeah.
or something else, have said that, the reason that I'm doing what I'm doing now is because of this experience I had with not being heard, or people not connecting the dots, and issues with the healthcare system that I have personally run into. And
Yeah.
so, you know, that's one of the most common threads that we hear throughout our episodes. It's also some of the most popular episodes
Yeah.
is people talking about that.
Absolutely. And I think one of the great things that we found in talking with our contributors and uh, all the individuals throughout the community who have engaged with us on social media, and even reached out to us directly, via email, is that it empowers them. Like,
Mhm.
not only is it educational and they say, "Oh, I've been looking for this information and haven't been able to find it until now," but also they're like, "You know what? Like, this provides me with one, the validation that like I'm not crazy as I'm thinking about how hard this is
Yeah.
to do and to advocate. Oh, somebody else is living, been dealing with this. And then two, like, oh, I can go out and do this.
Yeah.
And here are some tools for doing it. And I think that that's really huge, especially right now. I think from everybody that I've talked with for us and also just within the industry, there's tremendous frustration about the current climate, all the current, like the constant changes and what's allowed, what's not allowed. And so there's really been this shift where individuals are as best they can, including us, taking charge and going, you know what? People need this information. It's vital for their health. Like, we're going to take the time and effort and we're going to get it out there and we're going to get it out in the right places. And so I think there's a lot of um, people within our generation who are looking to do that
Yeah.
continually from across the board, whether they are a healthcare expert, they're a complementary health expert, or they're a patient who has their personal experience. People really want to get it out there and are happy that there's, a platform for doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I think we've seen that in a variety of ways as well on, this sort of like taking charge of one's own health.
Yeah.
Um, we had a lot of episodes around like maybe more of wellness topics.
Yeah, we did.
Um, a lot of physical therapy topics that was very, very um, popular with our listeners as well. We talked with Elizabeth from Well Equipped about the work that she's doing, a little bit about like her entrepreneur like journey, starting
Yeah,
her own business. But some like unique and interesting ways that she's using physical therapy to help people. And then we also have talked with um, Emily uh, about uh, Emily Labuda about
yeah,
burnout, and like mental health is, I think, another very
huge.
popular topic this year.
Extremely. That
Um,
was an amazing episode, by the way. The burnout
Thank
episode,
you.
you're welcome. Julie, co-hosted that and, hosted that. And I just have to say, if anyone listening to this has not listened to that, you've got to listen to that because it really describes, like Emily really describes how so many of us are feeling and have felt in the past in words that we typically cannot think to describe what it's like to work into today's environment, and also try to prioritize your health and
Yeah.
how talent at the same time and how challenging it is. But yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Totally. So I think there's just, there's been a lot we've covered this year.
Yeah.
There's a lot that moving into 2026, we're obviously going to continue to talk about, but maybe some areas that we'll do a little bit more exploration on, areas that we have interest in ourselves, areas that we, had listeners express interest in. So maybe Melissa, we can move into some of those topics and where we think we're headed coming into 2026.
So yeah, so looking ahead to 2026, so we've got some really exciting topics to cover. Some things we're going to expand upon more, others are going to
Hmm.
be new. So the first thing that really comes to mind is we had an amazing episode, yeah, with the Wounded Warrior Project that Julie hosted, with Jake Norotsky,
Hmm.
who is a veteran or about PTSD, and we have developed a really great relationship with Wounded Warrior Project, and Charlene there. And so we're going to be doing more episodes with Wounded Warrior Project. So we're excited about that, hoping to spotlight women veterans health, which is something that's not talked about enough. So
Hmm.
and of course, with women's health being so important to our community, and we see the numbers, y'all. Like we know that
Yep.
a very large percentage for a very long time of our community, both on Instagram, and we can tell obviously through their analytics, that is our audience, majority is women and they are interested in women's health. And I think even for the men in our lives supporting us, they're interested to hear these topics as well. So some of the things we're looking at there, in addition to women's veterans health, is talking about pelvic floor issues, which is something that uh, I know we talked about, I think not too long ago, but we were talking about it in the course of postpartum at the
Hmm.
time. And so actually, pelvic floor issues go way beyond postpartum. So we're going to be talking about that. We're talking about breast cancer survivorship, as I'm sure people have seen more and more individuals are falling into the group of getting breast cancer. Not even just under the, saying under the age of 50, but we're talking about people, well in their 30s and
Yeah.
20s. So we have a guest who's going to be joining us about that, and she actually runs a breast cancer rehabilitation center specific for that, and which is really unique. And also talking about surrogacy, obviously there's in relation um, to cancer, actually, in earlier onset cancers, for people with family planning, it changes up their family plans and their options. And so that's a topic we have not explored, far as fertility, um, preservation, IVF, surrogacy. So looking to talk about those things. Also, something that we've noticed this year, entrepreneurship is huge. It is within the millennial DNA. I've decided. And so we're going to be bringing in some more contributors to talk about entrepreneurship. And in fact, in one of those cases, it's going to be part of our international expansion, where we're going to be talking with somebody who is in Portugal. Who is an entrepreneur doing some great work and building a health product that I think people are going to find extremely interesting. And that comes out of his personal story, dealing with health challenges as a child. And then also, talking about what we can do to make living a healthy lifestyle easier. It has become harder and harder with the economy here in the US. I'm sure this is the case in other parts of the world, that there's just, yeah, that it's just challenging between, decreases and salaries and the rise in cost of healthier foods. And then, of course, all the demands on our time. And so we recognize
Hmm.
that, Julie and I recognize that. And so we're going to be doing some different episodes that are going to look at things like how can you be plant-based but do it on a budget, and do it easily, because I know plant-based, living a plant-based lifestyle is of interest to millennials. And also even looking at things like contrast therapy, so hot and
Hmm.
cold therapy. We've wanted to explore that for a long time. We're always looking at different complementary modes of health and what those are. So we're going to be talking with some people who run centers for that do contrast therapy on a regular basis. So those are some of the big topics that we're going to be breaking into. Obviously, we'll still be bringing things like colorectal cancer awareness. We're still going to be talking about POTS, Ehlers-Danlos, caregiving, obviously being a huge one.
Yeah.
But those are some of the new highlights that we can go ahead and share. And then I know we're excited about our YouTube as well. I'll let you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have expanded further onto YouTube. I think, we see when you hear how many people want to be able to not only listen to the podcast, but watch it as well. So you can see the conversation, see the guests that we're speaking with, put faces to names, things like that. So, we've got episodes already on our YouTube channel. We're going to continue to upload uh, more videos, more shorts. You can get more content there. And also just gives you another avenue of whatever way that you prefer to consume your content. So we always have the podcast, we have video, and you can also read articles on the website as well. Um, if you haven't, you can also subscribe to our newsletter, get updates there, or follow us on Instagram, TikTok, all of those good things, and get more from us as well. So you can choose whichever route is best for you, whatever you like the most. But we will be continuing to expand our YouTube presence if that is the way that you like to consume your media.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to go to our podcast episode or podcast survey. So if you have not done that yet, just want to make a quick plug for that. It's a 2-minute survey. It's a link in the show notes of every single episode. It helps us to know which topics to cover. That's how we've come up with so many of these things that we're talking about with today, and it just helps us to know what you're looking for, because that's what we're here for,
Hmm.
is to provide the information and using that to empower us all to make great decisions about our health. So definitely do that. And then the other big change is really kind of a little bit of a change in our schedule, which we're working out right now. As you might imagine, it takes a lot of time and a lot of energy to produce all the content that YMyHealth produces, in addition to um, episode 86 that we're doing right now. We've produced many, many articles throughout the year, social media many times a week. and all those things take time and energy. And so we are going to be taking some time to take a little bit of, of a vacation. Part of it, honestly, comes from one of our contributors who we had said the most interesting thing. I was telling you, Julie, back in a couple weeks ago, actually. Carrie Alberts, also known famously on Instagram as Dementia Darling, but she had said something because she also produces an enormous amount of content
Yeah.
in the caregiving space in particular, and she was saying something about, what was her quote, that like if you don't take care of yourself, the universe will take care of you, and it just totally stopped me in the middle of the podcast episode. And um I for me and obviously for Julie, we've been doing YMyHealth for several years now, while doing other full-time positions. And so after producing 86 episodes this year, thought,
Yeah.
we need a little bit more vacation time than those 2 weeks, at the end of December before we start the year. And so as we wrap up this year, we're looking, as we plan into 2026, to take some more time and likely be back very early spring. Obviously, colorectal cancer awareness is so important to us and starts beginning of March. So we'll definitely be back before then. But in the meantime, we have 86 episodes to look at. Of the ones of some of those that you have not listened to, that we're going to still continue, obviously, to be active on Instagram,
Yeah.
and our TikTok and our Facebook throughout the time as we continue to plan. But it gives us a little bit more time to plan and really follow what we preach to everybody else, right? Which is this work-life balance and taking the time to take care of your health. And so that's what we're going to be doing as we take a little bit of time away from brand new episodes, but we will be back before you know it. So that is the plan for 2026.
Yeah. We're so excited for everything that we've got coming up. Like you just heard, we have plenty of new content coming your way, so
Oh
don't
yes,
you worry. We will be back, and we'll keep you guys up to date on social media. We'll still be there. We'll still be active. So just because new episodes are not going live doesn't mean that we are not around. And
exactly.
we look very forward to hearing more from you all, um, and getting new content out there for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. We really do, and we appreciate everyone's support. It motivates us on a daily basis. We're always looking out for new topics, for things that we see that are happening in the media, that we're hearing from other people around the country who are telling us, "I need information on this. Have you heard this is happening?" When that our generation is facing this at this time, and so we are very much here for you and wanting to provide the best information that we can, the most up to date, and also just what is tailored towards us, which, as we all well know, we cannot find everywhere. So we're thrilled to have that opportunity to do that, and we're so grateful for all our contributors in 2025 who've taken their time to come on the podcast with us, to promote their episodes, to continue to engage with Find My Health, and really helped others discover this wonderful community.
Yeah. And special shout out to Sarah Diekman and Diekman Dysautonomia for sponsoring us this year. We're so grateful for your support, Sarah. It's meant so much to us. I think we should probably also give Alexandra a shout out
Yes,
too.
definitely.
You guys would have heard some episodes with her. She's a pharmacist and she's talked to us about a variety of topics. Most recently, I believe, was the flu shot.
Yeah.
Um, and so thank you, Alex, as well for your support.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was gonna say yes. Your support, Dr. Sarah Diekman and Dr. Alexandria Yarbo. We could not do this without you, and we are so grateful for both of you. So yes, we have an exciting 2026 planned. We have awesome contributors. Those are just two of them, but who have continued to support us so much, which means the world. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
just wishing everybody a happy and healthy holiday season. Definitely reach out to us and let us know what you're interested in hearing about in 2026.
yeah. We'll be back soon.
Absolutely. Take care, everyone.